Welcome to biology. We're talking about characteristics of living things. Today, what makes something a living thing and what makes something a non-living thing. Now, there are 7 characteristics which are also called the life processes that distinguish a living thing from a non-living thing. Before something can be considered living, it must be able to do all these 7 things. Now, we can use the acronym Mrs. Green to easily remember our 7 characteristics. M stands for movement, R stands for respiration, S stands for sensitivity. And these are the words for the Mrs. G stands for growth, R for reproduction, E for excretion, and lastly N for nutrition. Remember, the R's can be interchanged. The most important thing is that you need to remember these. So pause the video here, keep repeating Mrs. Green, keep determining what each letter stands for. Once you're confident that it's stuck, we continue. Okay, welcome back. Before we move ahead, please take note that a living thing must be able to do all these 7. Not 6, not 5, not 4. All these 7, please. Okay, first, let's talk about movement. Now, it's a change in position of parts or the whole body of an organism. Now, we move from one room to another in our houses. Plant roots also do the same. They move in search of water. Plant leaves move in search of light. So movement, all living things must be able to move. Whether be it part of the body or the whole body, it still has to be able to move. Now let's see this. A car can move, but cars can move, but can they be considered living? Okay, a car is not a living thing, obviously. It can move, alright. But can it be considered living? Can a car reproduce? No. So if the living thing is not able to do at least one of them, then that means it is a non-living thing. Secondly, respiration. Please, respiration is different from breathing. That is very important. Now, as a kid, I also had days where I confused breathing with respiration. But respiration is different from breathing. Let's take note. Now, we breathe in to take in oxygen. We breathe out to bring out the carbon dioxide. Now, when this oxygen goes in, that is where respiration is going to take place. The oxygen gets into the cells. After eating, our cells take the nutrients. The oxygen will get into the cells and then break down the food that we ate. Okay, the nutrients that are moved into the cells. The oxygen will get into the cells, will break down those nutrients, and then release energy. And that is respiration. Okay, so breakdown of food to release energy is respiration. Okay, now sensitivity. When we feel hot, we sweat. That means we are sensing changes in our environment. Now, when this plant here, the mimosa plant, when you touch it, it closes. So this is how it looks like. But once you touch it, it closes. It is also responding to stimuli or stimulus. So it is being able to respond to changes in the environment. Okay. Now, in darkness, plants do not make food. Okay. But once there's light, the plant starts making food. That means the plant is also sensitive to light, being able to respond to changes in the environment. Now here we have a seed. With time, the seed develops a root. With time, it also starts developing the shoot part. And then with time, it will move from this to this. Now this is growth. It's an irreversible increase in size and mass of an organism. I remember we were babies once, we can never return to being babies. Okay, we were babies once, we can never ever return to being babies in this lifetime. Okay, so growth is an irreversible increase in size. Now, growth is achieved by the increasing number of cells and cell sizes in the body of a living organism. As we grow, our cells need to multiply. Our cells need to multiply to replace dead cells. Our cells need to multiply so that they can be enough for our new size that we are getting. So that is what growth is, an irreversible increase in size and mass of an organism. This plant can never return to being a seed, although the plant can produce a seed of its own, but it can never return to being a seed. Now, reproduction. Just as I said earlier, a plant can produce a seed of its own. Now, this is the process whereby living organisms give rise to fertile offspring by sexual or asexual means. Now, for certain plants, you can cut part of their stem or part of their branches and then plant those parts. Okay, once you plant those parts, roots will develop and then the plant will develop from there. There are certain ornamental plants that can undergo such type of reproduction. That is what we call asexual reproduction. Now, for the sexual reproduction, it involves sex cells. In humans, you get the sperm from the dad, you get the egg from the mom, they fuse and then they start dividing to produce a young one. But with the asexual reproduction, you just get part of the adult and then it will develop a new baby, just like this bacteria here. Now, for this bacteria here, it is made up of only one cell. With time, it will split into two daughter cells. Okay, so there was no sexual reproduction. It only split itself into two by splitting its genetic material and then producing two young ones. And that is for reproduction. We have sexual and asexual. A plant or an organism must be able to do any one of these two before it can be considered living. Excretion. Now, there's this word called metabolism. These are just activities taking place in cells. Okay, metabolism refers to activities taking place in cells. Now, once these activities take place, waste products or waste substances are produced. For example, urea inside the body. It is a nitrogenous waste that needs to be gotten rid of. Okay, after respiration, carbon dioxide is also produced. Carbon dioxide is poisonous to the body, so it also needs to be gotten rid of. Also, there are excess substances in the body. For example, when we take in too much water, the body needs just a certain amount of water, so we need to get rid of the excess water. When the water is too little and then the body wants to get rid of the waste, you see that the waste that is being moved out contains very little water. That is why sometimes our urine looks more yellowish than at other times. When we've taken in less water or when we've taken in more water but we've been dehydrated a bit, our urine looks yellowish. But when there's more water in us and then the body wants to get rid of the excess water, our urine looks a bit pale yellow. So excretion is just the process of getting rid of metabolic wastes from the body and other excess substances. Okay, so that is it for excretion. Nutrition. We need to eat in order to live. So the process of making or getting food is what we call nutrition. Now, green plants have chlorophyll, which they use in making their own food. Animals are heterotrophic. We need to go and look for our own food by eating other organisms. Okay, so this is something for you to do. You just drag the right answer and drop into the right box. Okay, so I'll pause the video here and then you do the exercise. Once you're done, we continue. Okay, welcome back. Now let's see our answers. Living things produce new individuals. That's something to become adults. What is that? They grow to become adults. Oh, they need to grow to become adults. Living things need to grow to become adults. Okay, now to carry out the process of living, energy must be released from food. This is called respiration. So let me enlarge this box a little bit so that it can be contained. Respiration. Good. And then it says we call the process of making or taking in food what? Nutrition. If you got it right, it is nutrition. Okay. And then the next one, inside our bodies we produce metabolic waste. This waste is what? Excreted. This is excreted from our body. So this is excreted from our body. The process, okay, living things must detect and respond to changes around them. This process known as sensitivity is very important to survive. For living things to keep their species growing from one generation, they must what? Reproduce. They must bring out young ones so that the generation will keep on going. Animals also need to something in order to find food. They need to move in order to find food. So these are the 7 life processes. An organism must be able to do all these 7 before it can be considered living. Okay, so in summary, Mrs. Gren is the woman who determines if an organism is living or not. Mrs. Gren, M stands for movement, R for reproduction or respiration, E, S for sensitivity, G for growth, R for one of the 2, reproduction or respiration, E for excretion, and then N for nutrition. All organisms must be able to perform all the 7 before it can be considered living. Breathing is not respiration, please. I said respiration is what goes on in cells, where we break down the food to release energy. Feces or defecation is also not an example of excretion. For feces, we are just ejecting the undigested food out. Okay, so that will be it for today. I'll be around. If you need anything, please ask me. Bye.